I love this business, and I'm so honored to
Sissy.
have you both.
Thank you.
Roger, I had your son here not too long ago, about 6 months ago.
Everybody has my son first, and then they call me after that. And he had a great time.
We had such a great time, right?
And I had a great time watching you take over that with Danny. It was a great show.
And with Gregory, too.
And
we had
Gregory,
fun. Incredible. He looks so much like Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
It's insane.
He does.
It's insane. I can't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Roger,
Yeah.
H. Simon, or you used your other name? Hendrick.
It's worse. It's Roger Hendricks Simon, but we put the H because, you know, that's too big for the marquee.
Right, I like that answer. Give me 5.
All right, here you
yeah,
go.
we partnered.
Here you go.
We got it right. You see, we couldn't get it.
Well, you had
right.
enough practice.
We warmed up.
We got warmed up. And James Williams, producer, actor, thank you so much for coming by.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
This is such a special occasion. We are here to talk about this.
Yeah, thank you.
We're missing your wife, and we're sending a love to her.
Well, thank you. She's responsible for that.
She's responsible for this.
And my wife is doing the costumes.
And your wife is doing the costumes.
It's a show about our wives.
Yeah, I can see that.
This is really a woman's show. There are so many talented women involved in this, including the woman who did that poster, whose name is Sarah Sills, who designed that beautiful poster.
Yes.
Incredible. Well, let's get into it.
Sarah is the playwright.
Yes, and your lovely wife.
Thank you. She is, and her name is Sarah Levine
Simon.
She uses Simon, which is my last name, on a good day when she's talking to me.
But when you guys don't talk,
no, we do.
You do. You never fight with each other. I can. Honestly, you're such a talented couple.
Well, how do you think we lasted for as long as we are married? You have to have a fight.
You can't even remember.
You can't remember how many years.
I can't remember.
But he's of a certain age where he's can be
That's
forgiven.
right. When you're my age, you forget all the years.
For how many years have you been together, honestly?
Really? We
Too
were married.
many.
Look, we were married in 1972. How many years is that? I swear I can't.
That's the year I came to New York. I came to
It's
New York.
40-some years.
41 years. 41 years.
And it was love at the first sight, not love, lust.
Lust. It was lust at first sight, as I said to you.
But I tell you, like you said it right before we started, incredible couple. I mean, all your work, I was reading online, and it's amazing all the work that you do with actors, man, and directing
thank you, Sissy.
and doing what you do.
Well, Sarah, I fell in love with her first, as you say, because of, well, yes, her looks.
Yeah,
Then I found out she cooked.
Yeah.
That was made it even better.
She's a hell of a cook.
Then she's a hell of a cook. Then I find out she's a professional opera singer.
I know.
And now lately, of course she always wrote, now she's a playwright.
A playwright.
So, I mean, I'm kind of a little bit overwhelmed here. You know?
Yeah, how do you handle it?
Well, I'm not sure I do. But one way I handle it is I have to do a show.
Right. Well said.
I'm in trouble.
I like that.
We did it first as I had a series.
It was a radio, right? It was on radio for the national.
I had a series called Simon Studio Presents, which was for National Public Radio. And what I did was we took original scripts that I developed in my own studio, the Simon Studio.
The Simon Studio,
where I've been coaching for 180 years in New York. And we also have writers and directors. And part of the training has always been bringing plays and developing them in our studio with not only the people that I'm teaching, but guests that I bring in from the profession. And we then present them as live theater. And then from there, we got into doing National Public Radio. We did this particular play on that series. It went out on WNYC and WBAI. It had a Broadway cast, Cara Duff McCormick, Rex Robbins, Steve Perlman. It was a wonderful cast. This was back in '92.
Right.
And then we let it alone for a while because it was only an hour and a quarter, and who does plays that are only an hour and a quarter? And then along comes David Mamet, and every one of his plays is an hour and a quarter.
Right.
And I said to Sarah, well, wait a minute. We haven't done this play. We did it for radio, so.
Let's do it.
Then Jim came.
Well, I came along. Let me just say how I came along.
How you guys met?
Yeah.
Well, I've known Roger for a long time. Roger and I, we did a Beckett trilogy many, many moons ago. That's where we first met each other and had a great time.
Beckett.
And we've always wanted to work together since then, and we never had the opportunity until my group, we're co-producing this, by the way. The name of my group is Adlib Productions. It's actually actors and directors living in Brooklyn, Adlib.
I love that.
Thank you.
Love it.
Thank you.
Love it.
So what happened is I had a play that I was going to direct or I was going to produce in January, and June Stein, who's also in this play, was going to direct it. And I won't go into the horrible things that happened, but I was left without a play to do, but I had a deposit down on the theater. So I had a theater space and I had nothing to put in it. So I happened to mention to Roger what was going on, and he says, well, Jimmy, he says, I have this play that you might be interested in. I took a look at the play and I says, wow, this is it. Like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do this play, because we've always wanted to do something together.
Right.
And Roger said, well, you and I will be the two brothers in the play. And my friend June is in it, and we have some very talented actors. Rutanya Alda is in it.
We're very lucky. We have a great cast.
She's been in The Deer Hunter with Robert De Niro.
I know. She's such a lovely. She seems such a lovely woman.
Mommy Dearest,
right?
Mommy Dearest, the cult classic.
Yes.
We have Caitlin O'Haney, who's.
But that's a very different name, right? How you pronounce that name?
Rutanya.
Rutanya Alda.
Very different.
Yes.
And what I want to say, I mean, Rutanya, I mean, everybody in this play is absolutely fantastic, but there's an old adage in theater that says there are no small parts, there are only small actors.
That's correct. I agree 100%.
Rutanya is playing the smallest, tiniest role in this play, and I'll stop at saying she steals the show, but when she comes out and she opens her mouth, she is present. She really is amazing in the role that she's doing. Everybody is good. And June
Let's
Stein.
have we mentioned all the actors?
Caitlin O'Haney, who was on Broadway in A Matter of Gravity with Katharine Hepburn.
Yes.
We have
June Stein, who is a longtime member of Circle Rep,
who did the original off-Broadway production with John Turturro.
Danny and the Deep Blue Sea.
Danny and the Deep Blue Sea.
She's also a well-known director. She's directed Beth Henley premieres, John Patrick Shanley.
We have a cast of all directors, actually.
Yes.
And we should mention Jessica Eleanor Grant, who is in As the World Turns.
As the World Turns.
Right, that's right here. We're forgetting James.
James Leaf.
James Leaf, who I'm very happy to have in my studio. Who has done a lot of off-Broadway, off-Broadway, and regional stuff as well. And graduate of Harvard, we got to have some smarts in the play.
Oh, come on, you guys, all of you are so talented. So much schooling behind you guys.
Well, I'm
incredible.
Yeah, well, life, that's school.
It's life.
Life is good.
This is going to be when? Oh, the 15th,
it's opening. It's opening.
26th.
We have a preview performance on January the 15th, and we open officially on January the 16th for a limited run at Theater 54 at 244 West 54th Street.
Let me have a little. Can we have Gloria a little? Yeah, there you go.
And tickets are now on sale. Everybody should go to smarttix.com or call 212-868-4444. And you can get tickets. They're only $18 a piece. And if you want to become a co-producer, you can go to rockethub.com with a credit card. And
let's bring the money, guys.
Yeah, because producing off Broadway is very expensive. It's a 60-seat theater that we're in, and even if I sell out all the seats, I'm not going to make back what I put into this.
The tickets are only $18.
Right.
It's pretty good.
It is pretty good.
You can't beat that price.
I need about $4,000 or $5,000 to raise to break even. So rockethub.com.
Rock it up, bring it on, bring all the money. This is the kind of work. I don't know. We always. I mean, I love the craft very much, but you want to see this kind of work. You want to see actors, producers, writers.
It's exciting to do new work.
Together,
and it's exciting to do new work.
Can I tell you what it's about a little bit?
Please.
Basically, when you say you want to see...
We should have said that in the beginning of the show.
Well, that's all right.
That's okay. Are you upset with me? No, of course not, Roger. You can't be upset with me that I forgot that we should bring it right from the beginning.
With you, Sissy, how can anybody be upset with you?
I love this, man. Give me 5.
Come on, give me 5.
Come
We're going to have it down.
This play, first of all, we call it a comedy of bad manners.
I love that.
And it is.
It's a wild ride.
It is a wild ride. It's zany. It's fun. But it also has a little bite to it. It also is great in terms of it's a very New York show. It's about, in a way, descendants, contemporary people who are who actually were descended from early American 18th century Sephardic Jews. My wife, of course, was taking off on my own family.
Right.
And it's based on an actual event in our lives where it's a competition over a portrait, actually between two brothers. Jim and I played the two brothers. Those two brothers were actually uncles of mine, cousins. So
the play is based on true events.
Based on true events, but then she just took off on it.
Right.
And it's really it's got a little of everything. It's got some revenge. It's got a real competitive between the brothers, fighting over who's going to get the portrait away from their young cousin, who they Jim's playing Toddy, who invites this young cousin over to his Park Avenue apartment, in order to kind of, in a way, manipulate a portrait that he inherited away from his young cousin so that he can have all three of those portraits for himself. He's, you know, he's a bit of a Wall Street kind of guy, and he likes to win. And I'm his brother.
He likes to win.
He likes to win. And I'm his
win.
brother who never could quite match up
Right.
in certain ways, but I have his same background, and he wants to actually, we compete now for this portrait. So it's kind of one-upsmanship. And but a lot of people will be interested, I think, in the historical background. The portrait in the poster is actually my ancestor, and it's now currently in the Jewish Museum if people really want to see it. It belonged to me at one time. I actually had inherited that portrait, and as I said earlier to you, we needed the rent for a few months, and it was a little expensive, so we gave it to the Jewish Museum.
Let's do it now. It's too bad I don't have Sarah here tonight, but I would like to talk to her about the journey, the process, putting the play together, you know.
She wrote it, just to tell you, she didn't even write it as a play. She just kind of, when she went through the experience that night, that dinner party in the Park Avenue apartment that she took this about, she just started scribbling down impressions, and it became dialogue, little sections of dialogue. And then when I got the radio series, she said, I'm going to write a radio play. And so she took those notes and made it into the radio play. And that's how it got to be a play. So it really didn't even start as anything other than just sketching out ideas that could have been a short story, it could have been a novel, and then she just made it into a play. And that's how she works. She writes. And it doesn't always go in one direction until she says, okay, I'm going to make a film, and then she makes it a film.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But it's like from, you know, different talents, different backgrounds. You guys are so, I don't know, so exquisite, but so different too.
Well, Sarah thinks like a musician because she is a musician.
She's a musician.
Her ear is tuned to the rhythm and music of lines and language.
Right.
It's very important for her, and each play is in a way like a little symphony for her.
Right.
It has a real kind of structure. And one of the things that I think we really do like about the play is how well structured it is, and that comes from, I think, a musician and a musicianship.
Right,
really knowing about structure.
Right. Now what about the rehearsals, casting the actors? Well, directing the play. Are you tough as a director? Let's talk about that. Stuff that people want to hear.
Well, to me, Jim is producing. I'm working as an associate producer with him as well as the director. So we kind of did it together. Jim had his people from his company, and I called in a whole group of people. To me, when we cast, that's always the scariest part of any production, because if you're really open, which you want to be, you don't know where it's going to end. And you always want to be prepared to be surprised when somebody comes in the door and wow, you didn't expect that, and you say, that's the one. And you want your head to be turned around. You don't want to, you know, sometimes I have very definite ideas and I try to get rid of those. Because somebody comes in and changes my mind. And so for us, and to me, the casting process, I don't know how you feel, it was always, it was fun, but it was a little scary because we never really knew until the end, the last day, where we were going to really go, and then we put it together. And sometimes you go, are we ever going to get the right cast? And it just kind of came together in the end, the last day.
Yeah, and also, you know, about producing, coming from a producer's perspective on this, you know, how do you raise the money, and how do you find the right people? So for me, producing something, the most important thing is that you find the right people. If you find the right people, it's ultimately going to work out. So I knew I had a great director, I knew I had a great play, and I trusted that between Roger and I, we'd find the right people in it. But it's also a matter of finding such things as who's going to run a light board. You know, and when you have very little money and you have very little, and now running a light board seems like, well, anybody can run a light board. No, not everyone can run a light board, because the person who's on the light board is part of the show. They have to know the show. They have to have a feel for the show. They're really part of the show. They have to know how fast to bring the lights up, when to bring the lights up, and they have to be perfection. So you need the same person there, and to try to get a volunteer to do that for 12 performances and 2 matinees, and then 5 hours of tech and 5 hours of load-in and 5 hours of it's very hard to find people to do this for, you hope for will volunteer.